Hello and welcome to section 4.3, which is triangle congruence by ASA and AAS. So postulate 4.3 is the angle side angle postulate, ASA. It states that if two angles and the included side of one triangle are congruent to two angles and the included side of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. So you have two angles, and then you also know the sides are congruent that are between those two angles. Different from the SAS, which was two sides and the angle in between. So here I have a little example. Given that angle CAB is congruent to DAE, and I have that marked right here. BA equals EA, I have that marked. And then B and E are 90 degrees, and I have that marked. So I want to prove that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle AED. Fairly simple in this case. Because B and E are congruent, because they are both right angles according to the given information, so angle B and angle E are congruent, AB and AE are equal, and CAB, which is this one, and DAE, which is this one, are also congruent because of the given information. Therefore, I don't even need to do any other steps. I know that an angle, a side, and an angle are congruent to the corresponding angle, side, and angle of another triangle. That proves that they are congruent by the ASA postulate. Theorem 4.2, angle side angle theorem. So if two angles and a non-included side, so now it's the side that's not in between the two angles that are given, it's a different side, of one triangle are congruent to two angles and the corresponding non-included side of another triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. So it's not the side that's in between the two angles on this one, but it does still have to be a corresponding side. So given that angle N is congruent to angle P, and I have that marked right here, and MO, which is here to here, and QO are congruent, and I have that marked with my little congruence mark. I want to prove that triangle MON, which is this top one, is congruent to triangle QOP, which is the bottom one. I did a two-column proof on this one, and I very simply just started with the first thing they gave us. Angle N is congruent to angle P. Why? Because it's given. Side MO is congruent to side QO, which is also given. And then the other information that I can figure out from this, and the O is right here. I didn't want to write it inside. The O is right here, the vertex where they meet. What can I also see by this drawing? I can see there's an X here. So I can tell that this angle and this angle are vertical. And so angle MON is congruent to QOP. How do I know? Because vertical angles are congruent. And so now what do I have? I have a side, or excuse me, an angle, another angle, and a side that are congruent. And over here I have an angle, and the corresponding side from over here. So triangle MON is congruent to triangle QOP. How do I know? Because of the AAS theorem, angle, side theorem. So bring that knowledge with you, and we will talk about that in more detail the next time I see you. Have a good night.